Today, I wanted to challenge myself and do a painting that is around a central theme and actually try and stick with it. I do some that are around a theme and it's pretty loose. I did one on the feeling of being toxically positive, and I had a few aspects, but when you look at it, it wasn't very obvious. And most of the time that's fine, and that's kind of the style I go with, but I had a lot of fun doing my doodle painting where people commented things and it challenged me to try to look a little more realistic and do some more details that are realistic. So today I wanted to do an abstract kind of doodly style, but I wanted to have it around transportation. So I know it's not really a big, deep, emotional theme, but I thought I'd kind of have my style and see if I can have some elements that are more realistic while keeping my abstract style. So I'm starting off doing this little train. Usually I have something in the middle of the painting that goes across and kind of separates the painting in half. Usually it's diagonal, something like that, or a face in the middle. But for this one, I wanted to do a train. I've never done anything like that. I've done some little roads and streets, but I wanted to do this and see how it looked. And so far I liked it. I wanted to add a little bit of steam, and I'm going to add some colors in there after. And that little steam area is also a nice way to separate that top part of the painting. Now I'm just making the tracks on the train. I'm just going to do it as a simple line underneath and add some little lines around to make it kind of look like those train track style. And then my idea is the lines going down, kind of the parts of the track there, I'm going to have into other aspects and elements throughout the painting. So I'm going to kind of use it as a starting point for some of these little details or doodles or designs. They're black right now, but depending on the color that goes in that part, I might change them to white or change them to another color. So we'll see how that goes. It's kind of up in the air right now. And I'm doing this shape just to add some of this blue. I actually had it left over from my other painting and I liked it a lot. I kind of like how it's that dark turquoise and not just a light blue. I'll be using some light blue in this as well, so I wanted to have some of that in the painting. I needed to fill some space before I add the next aspect that I have planned out, so I just kind of did this shape and saw that it was kind of a cool little abstract guitar shape, so I just leaned into that and filled in those details. It'll be a nice little element that draws the eyes and helps go from the transportation aspects from one another. I wanted to do kind of an ocean area, but I didn't want it right where the guitar is because I wanted to have it a lot larger. So I needed something to fill it in, and the shape just happened to work out like that. So just adding that nice lighter blue, and I'm gonna have that as the water. With these colors, I'm making sure that I'm going over sometimes 3 to 4 times. I don't like when I put in certain colors and you can see the white through it, so I'm making sure that I'm putting on a thick first layer, but then throughout the painting, once it dries, going through and doing more and more just to make sure it fully covers the canvas. Another aspect I wanted to do to go with the travel theme was an airplane. It's kind of obvious, but I've done some that are super abstract before, but this one I wanted to do more obviously a plane. I wanted to have some kind of doodly style to it, so didn't want to be too specific with it, but thought I'd add a little more detail to the wing and make a little engine and then add a face as well. But I like it. It's not just a few shapes thrown together with wings. I just kind of wanted to be a little more thoughtful with these elements and take a little bit more time, so kind of just going through and adding more details. I'm gonna have a base layer for the plain orange and then fill it in with some other colors and blend it when it's still not dry. I'm gonna have the background darker, so I wanted something to contrast well with that. And then same thing with this guitar, I'm just filling it in brown and then adding a few other colors just for a little bit of a texture. And I'm just gonna do a little cool landscape around the plane and then add some cool aspects within it. Since it'll be a darker background, I wanna add a lot of whites and yellows to it. I'm gonna make it kind of like a cool night sky and then see if I can add some cool doodles to make it more exciting to look at. As I'm waiting for this blending to dry, I wanted to do the next part, which is a kind of pirate ship looking thing. So I have little dots where I kind of wanted to plan it out spacing wise, and now I'm just going through and adding the details. I actually like how it looked and I like the spacing of it, so now I just got to plan what kind of colors I want to use to make sure nothing clashes and it doesn't get washed out. But I've had a lot of fun being a little more thoughtful with what elements I'm doing. Usually at the beginning of the painting I'll plan out a few elements, and then as different colors are drying and things that I see, I add more details and fun, more kind of creative, abstract parts to it to kind of blend both of the styles together. I always like adding a few parts in the painting that are like a little color palette and have a bunch of dots or lines or just a bunch of colors that I'm using throughout the painting. Usually when I'm trying to avoid a color clash or using too many in one section, I do that. And it's kind of a cool thing that draws the eyes in more, so I enjoy doing that. And I also like the space elements, so I'm just adding this little planet ring around this diamond. And I like this brown, so I'm gonna have some of the train brown, but then see little parts that works to put the brown in. And I wanted to add a little more detail to this boat, so I'm adding a few lines just to give it that more detailed feel. I'm gonna paint it over, so I'll probably have to go and do touch-ups on the lines, but I just like kind of seeing what I'm working with. So far I really like the elements and planned out parts of the painting. It's kind of hard to tell at the beginning before the outlines are done and the extra doodles and textures are filled in, but I kind of like it. It's different having these aspects, and I think even picking a random theme, just something that I can have some ideas on different things to paint within it, kind of helps keep my art fresh. I find if I'm just painting for the sake of it, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I kind of go to the same few little faces or details that I have, and it's kind of fun to challenge myself and try different styles and different things and try to work on that still abstract and still doodle, but more realistic and things that take a little bit longer and make me challenge myself. It's usually where I end up creating my favorite paintings. I think the main challenges for this painting will come near the end, especially if I don't plan out the colors well. I'm going to try to do each different little car in the train a different color than the one beside it at least. So I just need to make sure I'm planning that to make sure that the sky or whatever background color there won't clash with it. If it does, I might have to section it off and have a few different background colors and add some shapes. So we'll see how that goes, but I'm just keeping that in mind as I'm filling in the little cars. And I like the little diamonds falling off the planet. I'm going to go back and outline those just so they don't get washed out, depending on what background color I use. I like it so far. It's mainly just spacing now that I have and a few of those elements. Majority of the other details I add aren't planned, and are if I see a face or some type of shape that could turn into something, I do that later. Sometimes it's how different paints kind of dry and I can see something within it and go over it with a different color. But for now, I like that I put time into the main aspects, which is the boat, the train, and the plane. Then I'm gonna add something to the little roads that I have too. I'm just not quite sure at this point what that is. I'm adding a few more little details into the dark part of the sky. I'm probably gonna go back and add some white as well. I like doing skies with a few different colors. I find it looks pretty cool, especially when they're bright colors on a black or darker color. Now I'm just filling in more colors in the train and around the boat. This is gonna take a while around the boat because I wanna layer it well. I wanna have that kind of dark red, or then put on some orange and blend it together when it's still wet. But I'm gonna go back and do that a few times to make sure that there's no white popping through. I want it to look fully covered, so kind of be working on that, coming back to it after the first layer dries and doing it again, trying to make sure that the orange and red balance is the same. And then I gotta plan what colors I want within the boat as well, and the colors of the sails and what other little details I want. I want to make sure that I'm using enough of this red throughout the painting. So I'm having a little shape up here, and I want to have it down here as well, and probably do a little aspect that goes through the road here, but still planning on how I want that to look. I find sometimes I use a lot of one color in one section, but I want to make sure I'm doing it in the other section as well. And something I've been doing in some of my other paintings is doing shapes first, and then different little aspects and doodles around it. So I'm gonna finish these main transportation ones, and then probably in the top left corner, fill in some shapes around that planet. I am gonna also add a bunch of colors in the steam of the train and kind of have a bunch of different ones coming through. I don't want to commit to one because I don't know what the outside's gonna look like, and I want a bit of white space in it as well. Decided what colors I wanted to go with for the sails in the boat, and I'm gonna do green, purple, and black. Then on the green and black, I'm gonna add white elements inside of it. Then the purple, I'm not too sure yet. So I'm just getting started on some of these shapes in the top left, and gonna see how I can kind of bring them together. But I'm gonna do a black square and probably put some white in it. And then now I'm just working on some more outlining on some of the aspects I've already done, and gotta plan something for this blue part around the plane. So now I'm going back and doing that second coat of the red and orange. I realized that the brown of the ship might get washed out a little bit, so I'm gonna go back and do another coat of that, or then add some elements inside. I'm also going in whenever I have time and adding more colors to that little path and the steam from the train. And I'm gonna put some clouds in with the sky by the plane. I like the texture, especially with the white on the blue. I don't need to add any intense doodles here. I don't want to make it too busy, so I think a bit of the white clouds is enough. Then I'm going to have some more doodles and different abstract elements, I think, in the purple and the black part. This is the part of the painting where you definitely have to trust the process, especially when the colors aren't fully in or blended and the lining isn't done. Usually at this part, I'm always very unsure of how it'll finish, but it's pretty common for me to have that at this kind of midway point. So I just kind of keep going and layering on colors. I thought this little planet would look good with the kind of gold yellow outline. I haven't used this color much throughout it, so kind of looks nice, and it's a good way of separating the colors, so I could use kind of a similar color to inside the planet around it. And yeah, I'm getting a few ideas on different doodles and shapes and things that I want to add to it. But for now, just going through and making sure that the color selection will work with the colors around it and any future ones that I'm going to add. Now I'm going through and doing that first coat of outlining in some of the areas. It makes such a difference on how the painting looks, and you don't realize it until you do a few of the outlines, how much different aspects pop. Sometimes they don't pop out as much as you think they would, so then you have to add some other color layers or thicker outlining. But I like to do it around this point because I want to start putting some more details into some of these places that have color in them. I'm still deciding on what kind of things I want to put in them, but I've got a few ideas. In this black box, I'm having just a little kind of geometric little kind of squares within squares. I like that look of the white on the black, so I'm just doing that as a little space holder. And I have a few kind of thoughts on what I want the rest of this top section to look like. And I'm just going to put in some colors and be smart with the ones I'm picking. And I wanted to outline the boat a little bit more as well. I thought I didn't want to really have it sit too long because I want to make some cool details in the sky and especially in the blue part of the water as well. So I want to get started on those and kind of see how detailed I can make it without it getting too busy. I'm trying to be smart with the colors that I'm picking to fill in this left part of the painting. I had a few moments where I was going to use one, but then decided to switch it up because I didn't want too many light colors close to each other, so I kind of needed to have a good balance of that darker and bright colors. I'm going to put a bunch of details and things in them, but I find if you mess up on those colors, it's kind of hard to come back from, so I feel like I'm doing well with it so far. I have a few areas where I'm a little bit stuck. I was going to go orange to the left, but I thought it would look kind of funny that close to the yellow, so doing orange, and I'm going to add some red over that. And then I just have to pick my last colors for up here before I start putting in these abstract kind of elements that will hopefully bring this painting together nicely. I went back and forth on what color I wanted around these little falling diamond looking things. Made it tough because it was outlined with that yellow gold, so I thought purple would go well with it as well as the orange beside it, so just kind of did that there. Then the orange, I wanted to add some red into it, and now I'm going over and doing a little more detail back on the ship. And now it's at the point where I don't really have any planned aspects left. I thought I had some, but the way that the colors were working together, I realized I wouldn't be able to do any kind of planned out specific things, so at this point in the painting, I'm just gonna wing it. There's some colors that I really like where they're at and some others that I don't. And usually if I don't like a certain color somewhere and it's too late to do anything about it, I'll go through and I'll add a lot of colors on top of it so that base color isn't as obvious. I usually don't have to do that, but for this one I feel like I might have to, especially around the little train cars areas, so I think there's a few that are on darker backgrounds that I might have to add some maybe white around the edges. Now I'm just doing a fun little palm tree type thing and having little arrows as the like kind of tree branches, so I'm just kind of fully winging it. I don't know how this is going to turn out. I kind of say that on every painting, but this one's different. I don't know if it was too planned out or not planned out enough, but I'm just going to keep doing some lining and see if I can kind of bring it together. I think I'll have to go back, especially with the green on the purple, and might line the little train cars white, but we'll see. Maybe I'll do what I did in the last painting where I thought I was done, but then I just added a bunch of elements on top of it, and this main painting was almost like a background for it. So we'll see what happens with this one. I'm going in and doing a lot of lining. A lot of these aspects kind of got overdone by the paint, which is normal and I usually expect, but when I'm looking at it at this point, it's kind of hard to see which ones pop out and which ones don't. So I'm doing some lining in places I thought I wouldn't too, like this little planet. I was just gonna have the yellow and blue kind of blend together, but thought it did need that black, and I'm gonna do the outside as well. I find it does help pop and kind of differentiate where each part is. Some paintings I do none, and some I do it in every aspect. I think this one I'm gonna do every single one. I think it would look funny in some of these areas if I didn't, so we'll see what kind of details I can do in this and see if it looks good. I'm struggling a little bit about what to add in this top corner. I might just do some kind of fun little patterns. I don't think there's enough space to do any really detailed elements, so it'll be interesting to see if I can make this one a painting that I look at and I'm really happy with how it is, or if it's one of those ones that I kind of sit on for a little bit, then paint over when I get a new idea. In some of my paintings, I start with a theme and completely get away from it, and my painting turns out to have nothing to do with that theme, or some of the elements that I chose for it I paint over or change into something else, and I really like the way it turns out. But for this one, I wanted to keep that kind of transportation theme, and I don't know if I stuck to it or not, so I would love to hear your feedback and tell me where I could have made it better or stuck to the theme more, or if you liked it and think it's a good amount. So let me know. I'm always trying to get better at these kind of paintings, and I think it's kind of a cool way to learn and hear what people have to say about what they think I could have improved on. At this point, I actually don't mind how it looks. I flip-flop back and forth a lot when I'm at this point of a painting. I think when I look at it at a distance, I'm happy with it, and I like the way the colors look, and certain little themes or new things I tried, like the train and the boat. But I think where I get stuck on it is when I look at one little part that I don't like, or a little portion of the painting where the colors seem to look funny together, or the lines aren't clean. Even if I know I'm gonna go back and fix it, I still kind of focus on that part and assume the whole painting's like that. But sometimes I do need to just look at it from a further point of view, where I walk away from it a little bit and come back, and either I see an idea on something I can do or something that I can fix, or I look at it and realize I do like it from a far away standpoint. So I'm just going in doing more lining, because that always helps kind of see what spaces I'm working with and kind of see the proportions of the painting. And adding a few more little details like sky in this little purple area by the plane. adding some white as well. I really like using multiple colors when it's the sky. Then just the more detail I'm adding, the better. I think if I added any more planned aspects, it would look cluttered, but just gonna keep adding these little textures and mainly bright colors on the darker ones, and it is helping kind of bring the painting together. I saw this little area where I could do a face kind of in this kind of deep sea kind of shipwreck shape. So I'm just doing that, gonna go back and color it in. And I'm also making a face with this kind of train car. I feel like they all look like eyes, so I'm gonna make some faces as well. It'll kind of help draw the eyes in when you look at it, just in case some of these train details do get washed away with the darker colors in the background. And I'm just kind of working on that. I am feeling better about it at this point, but a lot can change. It looks like the painting's almost done, but sometimes this is almost the halfway point because I have so much extra detail to put in. If I really like how it looks, I won't do too much, but this one I do think I need a little bit more. So I'm doing more of those texture parts, like the blue on the brown here around these little abstract houses, adding another face. Kind of wanted to look like a cloud texture in this, so adding faces and details like this does kind of help bring my style to it, but I am worried that it will take away a lot of the main theme of it, so I'm really hoping it does kind of have a bit of both. I like the look of having little circles that kind of look like chains when I have kind of a shape within a shape to act as a border. I find it's kind of cool to have something different than just a black border or border with one color. And I'm adding more color within that little smoke from the train as well. I'm going to leave a lot of white space and have that as kind of a main white space area. But I do like the look of having a few parts of the painting where there's multiple colors, like the little path up there. Then purple and white looks good together, so I'm just adding more of that and kind of just going through now and doing a lot of this kind of work that kind of looks a little bit boring, but once you do a bit, you take a look at the painting and it looks a lot more together, especially with the white on dark colors. I don't know what it is about that, it just pops out so much more. So I'm going to do a lot of that and kind of see how that brings it all together. I'm also realizing that this is going to be a super long video. Sometimes I break them into 2 or 3 parts, but this one I decided I'm just going to do one long one. So I'd love to hear your feedback on, do you like longer videos where it's showing the entire painting in one? Or do you want more of a part 1, part 2, part 3 where they're 15 or 20 minute videos and you can kind of see the process in different parts? So let me know, I'd love to hear your feedback on that and kind of see what works best. I thought it would be kind of cool to add like a little treasure chest at the bottom. It's kind of that classic cliche pirate ship with a treasure chest, but I thought the gold would look really good on the blue. So I'm gonna add kind of gold looking thing, add the treasure chest color, have it on some rocks. Gonna add some more details and probably little lines and colors within it. And then I'm just adding this red onto the silver car. I might be able to have enough of a distinction from the background colors to the train cars if I have some patterns in it. So we'll see how that looks. So then I'm adding more color into this little palm tree thing. And I find some of these little smaller colors within are helping and kind of giving that painting more to look at. The goal for my paintings, what I want in every painting, even if it doesn't go exactly to plan, is someone can look at it for a long time and always see something different, or they look at it different times throughout the day and they see another detail or another aspect or another hidden little face or something. So just trying to make it as busy as possible without being too cluttered, and we'll see how it goes. I think the main thing I can't be too cluttered about is by the planned out details, like the ship or the plane. I think I need to keep those still textured and interesting, but not too much, and not have another detail right beside it that draws the eyes away from the main one. I'm still trying to decide what my favorite strategy and style is when it comes to paintings. Sometimes I love doing the colors first and just not planning any aspects and seeing what little faces or cool objects the shapes naturally look like. Sometimes I like doing a blend of both, and sometimes I love doing planned out aspects for almost every single part of the piece. I think it depends on my mood and how I'm feeling that day. If I kind of just need to unwind and not think about anything, I think less planning is better. And if I'm feeling like I'm up to a challenge and wanting to try different aspects or try different realistic parts of it, I think the planned out parts are kind of fun. But I think where it gets tough is when I have a blend in between that's not really planned to blend it, where I think it's going to be more planned out, or then I realize the planned out part maybe doesn't have enough to look at, or then I go way too abstract and wash out the planned out part. So kind of in that constant struggle on what I like and what looks best. I will say, I think if you look at it objectively, my best paintings were the ones where I did colors first and did some cool blended colors, some darker colors, and then white on it, and did some doodles afterwards. So I do want to be able to do some really high quality ones with planned out kind of realistic details or things that are meant to look like it, like with this one, the train or the boat, things that are obviously supposed to look like that, not just, oh, it kind of looks like a boat, so I'm going to make it into it. I think it'd be a cool challenge for the next few paintings to try more of that. And if I can find a kind of balance in between, that's great. But I am trying to get better at art and better at some of the technical stuff. So I think some of these paintings where it's a little bit uncomfortable and I feel like I don't like the way it looks, or I don't do something the right way, it's fine. And I just got to be okay with that and keep kind of pushing. And then I can probably get some cool paintings out of it in the process. So I'm going through and doing just the final details and the final lining. And the more I look at it, the better I feel about it. When I take a step back and look at it, I'm actually quite happy with how it turned out. There's some parts that didn't go the way I planned, but as a whole, I'm actually quite impressed on how the colors kind of went together with little to no plan. So this one was a fun one. Let me know what kind of other themes or aspects or doodles that you want to see in the next one. I love having ideas from other people. It forces me to try things that I usually wouldn't. So yeah, thank you for watching this one, and I would love to hear any feedback on stuff that you'd like to see with the videos themselves or the paintings. So now I'm just signing it and taking a look at it being done, and I'm actually, really happy about this one. I think it's cool. I think the colors pop out nicely. What do you think? Do you think I stayed to the theme enough, or do you think I kind of swayed away from it? Thank you for watching this. I really appreciate anyone who watched the whole thing, and I'm probably going to turn this one into a time-lapse video as well.